here's the engine. I did not fully fasten the oil pan. I think I only had 2 bolts underneath there to hold it. So I'll remove those 2 bolts and get to clean this rear area and then address the rear cover. Okay? 2 bolts, 12mm. Okay, as I said, 2 bolts and we are out. I'm looking at this pan trying to remember why in the world it does not have any baffles or any baffle plates or windage tray or whatever. I can't remember if it came like that or if I modified it. I really can't remember. I think I did. Anyway, it's an interesting looking pen, isn't it? I'm not scraping that hard, just saw a little bit of a lip here, wanted to get rid of it. And the reason is this: when I put the new seal on, I don't want the seal to sit at any angle to this lip. That will be a leak path basically. So I'm just barely. On the other hand, you don't want to scratch any grooves going longitudinally because that's a clean leak path for your crank seal. You'd rather have a groove that's I guess on the circumference of the shaft. I want to show this to you guys. This is what I was working on. You got some black crud over there. You can see it in patches, but you also have a nice line. I can feel it with my nail through the glove, and that is the line I was talking about. I was just trying to clean it as best as I could to see how badly off it is. So to address that, what's going to happen is this. See this? The seal was pushed all the way in. Yeah, all the way in pretty much. It has a little bit of a gap, very little towards the inside. So when I install it, what I need to do is make sure that I leave even less space on the back. Basically, I want to move the seal a little further back than it was installed, right? If that makes sense. Right now, is it even? Yeah, it is pretty much even, but I'll push it back just a little bit. And as I said, the reason is I wanted to clear that lip that was created initially. I don't want it cutting a groove in the same exact place. Make sense? Alright, so now removal of this seal. I've mentioned that with a means, I could just use something like there's a flathead screwdriver. If the diameter were a little smaller, I'd do this and just pull it. Either I was too scared or maybe I was too creative, but I ended up creating my own seal pusher. And here it's labeled rear main seal VK45DE. Look at that. It's a 3-inch PVC pipe. It is, right? Yeah. Is that a 3 or 4? 3. and I cut the notches to match these teeth over here. So what I do is this. And there it is. I mean, it's right against the seal. It's a little bit of a tight fit, interference fit, so to say. But just play with it until it's even. It's flush. I think that sort of is. We'll put it back on the stand. And even if you can't see it exactly, you at least have an idea what I'm trying to do. Just trying to make sure everything has contact to some level. There you go. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of clocking it left, right, you know? Okay, so set it down. At this point, simple, just step on it. Felt that pop? Did you hear the pop? There. The seal is out. Just push it out. And there you have it. So that's the seal pusher that I made. If enough people were working on VK45DEs, I could probably make a few and sell or just give them away. Honestly, it's just PVC. But I don't think enough people are doing this kind of work to these engines. And two, they don't really have rear main seal issues like, say, the Pathfinder engines did, the 3.5. Man, they had bad rear main seal issues. So, but my policy is this: while I have the engine out, might as well do it. And if I'm gonna do it, might as well use an original OEM part from Infinity. So that's why I do this. So this is just to wipe the grime off. It looks good on the outside, which is not really a concern, but I'm gonna get the seal. I like to do this with the before installing this onto the engine. I hope it caught that. So I like, as I was saying, I like to install the rear main seal onto this rear plate before installing this onto the engine. Reason being, if I do this, if I install this and it's already RTV'd all around the engine and I need to make an adjustment, it didn't sit square, say went in a little cocked, kind of screwed, you know. There's a lot of cleanup to do. So my preference is put this thing on the floor flat, lay the rear main seal, and then just, you know, just push it little by little. I use engine oil or Vaseline, just kind of push it and keep going till it's all even. Then I can bring a plank of wood over the top of it and just push so everything is even. So yeah, this one's back in right now. I'm going to do the same thing I did to remove it, which was get my tool. And see, my tool doesn't damage it. You could reuse it if you wanted to, but I'm not that cheap, so I'll take it off. And I can just push it because I've already done it once. There you go. Perfect. Here's a new rear main seal. I got a brand new one from Infinity, because I don't play with some things. Here's a brand new one. And here's a part number 12279 3TSOA. So I'm going to take my gloves off for this, or maybe get new gloves, maybe wipe them, I don't know. I'll get a cleaner rag though. I got a large scoop of Vaseline from the house because I'll be using Vaseline for a lot of my assembly duties today and whenever throughout the video. So I'll just set this aside on a piece of cardboard or something and just keep working from it. I'll just take a little bit as I need it, as I need to use it. Like I said, Right now what I'm doing is getting this, give it one final clean. At least that's the contact surface right now. Wipe it down. It's never perfect, but I'm using carb cleaner, something pretty easy to evaporate so it's not just hanging out there. Set it down on cardboard because I don't want it getting scratched or dented or anything. Then I'll get the new seal. That knife needs some cleaning, I guess. There you go, had a little bit of cleaner left. I'm trying to see if it's got any marks. Yep, 12279 3T SOA, and it says NOK is the number here. I'll compare this to the old one. The old one has a bunch of, this one says 12279 AD 200. That's all it says. BH5861J, BH5861F. But they're both Nissan parts because I can see the Nissan sign. So anyway, as I was. Comes in handy now. With the outside. Okay. At this point, just massage this in. Moves fast, especially when you have some lube. Okay, it's mostly in, and so at this point I don't want to screw it up. I'm gonna get a piece of wood and push it down with something flat and even. This is the cleanest I can do for now. So you just push it evenly. And that was 12 and 6 and 9 and 3. Do it at other clock positions. And there you go. It should be installed evenly now. It leaves quite a lot of space on the other side, but as I said, I don't mind it being a little further back from the original groove. What I'll do is I'll push it in just a little further, just a little bit, because I thought the space on the other side was a little too much. We obsess about the details over here. It's a serious, I mean, it's a pretty crucial part of the engine, so, and I would rather do a lot of things than have to go back in and correct this later. Might as well obsess over it right now. Okay, to me it looks even. I'm just gonna run this, wipe it so I can get a better look at it. I'm just running my nail. Not too scientific, it's just a matter of, does a nail seem to go deep, go evenly deep all around? The answer is yes in this case. Okay, so after all that obsessing, it's finally in. Before installing this on the engine, like this, I'll also ensure that I have some lube on this side of it. So I'll put some more petroleum jelly on this side, some more Vaseline on it. for now, let me do yet another wipe. And just blow it clean. This right here, RTV gasket maker. We're gonna cut off just a little part of it. I don't want it to be such a huge squeeze coming out. If I can find my knife again. So here it is. Pretty small hole. Before going squeeze crazy, I did write down the torque values for these bolts, among others, because I don't do this every day, so I can't really remember all of them. The rear plate only takes 6 pounds, so 6 foot-pounds. Okay, let's do this. Doing a little shake. What's your policy when it comes to applying RTV? Personally, I'd rather go crazy. Put excess if I need to, you know. In a system like this, it's not like it's going to plug any holes, any little holes or anything. But again, it's just erring on the side of caution. I'd rather not have to come back in here and redo this. Kind of lost the shakes. The shakes were pretty good. And again, you want to go on the inside. If you have a bolt hole like that, you want to go on the inside because you're trying to seal it. There we go. Remember, I said I was going to do one more thing. Lube. Either lube the seal, lube the crankshaft, lube both of them. Whatever you do, just lube, man. Okay, so at this point, zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we've got 2 dowel pins over here, one here, and then you have the mating surfaces. So let's do that. Careful with it. Hold the ears, hold the sides. Whoa, don't drop. Try to place it as evenly as possible. There you go. And then you'll notice once I start tightening the bolts, a little bit of stuff is going to be squeezed from the sides. 6 bolts though. Okay, so it's all squeezed out of every side, so I'm happy. That means I applied enough. But we won't stop there. We also have a torque wrench. That's what I meant to say, but I needed to make some corrections. Remember this part that I had shown early in the video? Yeah, well, I was pretty much done, but I was a little concerned because that part up there at first looked like Vaseline, but upon further examination, I was a little concerned that I had bent the lip of the seal. So I decided to just redo the thing while I had the time. So I took it out, cleaned up the area with the intention of doing it properly this time, right?
And so I did. I did my best to make sure everything aligned and the dowels aligned. The dowels are a little tighter, upon further. When I did it much later, I noticed that. But see, right at the point when I was going to put the last bolt and start using the power tool, time just started freezing on me because I noticed that the lip had come out again. So, what do? I decided to take it off yet again and try to do it slowly this time. So power tool to the rescue. And I ended up just removing it as carefully as I could, remove all the bolts. And, I pulled it out, and it was a little sticky at first, but those dowels, that's what I'm talking about. Those dowel pins were a little funky. But I had cleaned it out well, or maybe it cleaned out a different one. Anyway, eventually. And this time, I did not even scrape off the RTV for the third time. I decided just to do the best I could and make sure everything aligned, paying extra attention to the top and, making sure that the seal went over nicely and evenly. And I think I was able to do that successfully. Look at that. And we are finally done, so I'll go back to the video.
And here's the final result for the rear side. It's not 100% pretty, but it is going to work. I had to work rather fast to reduce something. What I noticed was this: when I installed it, it was all even, but when I pulled one side down, it opened the other side, so that kind of ruined it. I had to pull it out. Good thing it wasn't too badly off. I was able to correct it, and the seal looks fine. I usually have a bunch of spares, but it was quick thinking. This is all Vaseline, as you can see here, all Vaseline. So it was a lot of quick thinking, ruffling through my boxes, trying to decide, do I have a spare rear main seal? No, I don't. Okay, cool. Then make this work real quick. Scrape off the RTV as fast as possible and redo the work. Since it wasn't dry, it wasn't cured, it wasn't too bad. I didn't have too much scraping to do. I'm scraping the bottom side so that when I come in with my oil pan, it's not going to be too much of a fight. There won't be too much junk to scrape. Too much RTV. Okay, I think we're good with the backside. I'm about to jump to the front to check it out. Otherwise, this looks okay to me. Looks more than okay, honestly. It looks pretty good. Since I've done the bulk of it, at this point I could actually put this back on the engine stand if I wanted to, because I just needed clean access to the rear. Think about this. If it was that tricky with all this clean access to it, imagine how much harder it is going to be with an engine stand over there. So the engine stand part is going to be much easier. I won't have my suspended from an engine hoist deal going on. It will be steady, just sitting there waiting for me to do it, and then I can turn the engine as need be. So that is going to be the next move. Secure this thing on an engine stand, remove the intake just so that I don't have too much dead weight up top, and plus I need to remove it to work. Yeah, that's it. It is pretty good. I've been looking at this for a while just to make sure that I did get full coverage all around, and yes, I did. I do have the RTV smearing from every spot, including right there. Can't really get the camera in there, but including right behind this plate, the pry zone. And same thing on this side. And as I said, I usually don't chance it. I just have quite a lot of RTV, let it squeeze out. I don't care that it doesn't look pretty. We'll deal with it later. Right now it's still gooey, but by tomorrow it should be hard to the touch. Okay, so this is it. This is it, and we are done.
And now I'm doing a little cleaning. I'm just wiping off any excess sealant, and I will be getting the engine ready to be mounted on an engine stand. But I wanted to talk about what just happened in this video. So there are usually two methods that I've used in the past to install the rear main seal or the rear crankshaft seal. One is what you just saw in this video, which is installing the seal onto the plate, then the plate onto the engine block. The other one is installing the plate by itself and then installing the seal over. That is a pretty convenient method because you're not fighting two mating surfaces, right? Only one at a time. And if I could, I would do that method all the time. But the thing that determines what method I use simply is the condition of the crankshaft, and I can't determine that when it comes to me. So if the crankshaft has a groove in it, I do everything I can to avoid installing the seal over the same groove. I want to try to avoid a leak path. Although if it's circumferential, it's not too big a deal, but still, I just want to do everything I can to avoid it. So for most of them, due to the stock installation of the rear main seal, I cannot really install the seal any deeper. I can only pull them out further. And that's what you saw in the beginning. I was trying to install the seal flush to the surface using that piece of wood, but it just stuck out way further than I intended to. And I've actually seen an engine where two different seals had been installed and you could see two different grooves. So that was interesting. So, and I wanted to say that what happened in this video is not typical. I've done over 20 of these, and never have I had to pull the plate back and redo it. I don't know what happened to the dowels in this case. I cleaned them. I made sure everything was good, but I do have a lot of spare rear plates. So maybe I had gotten one that wasn't mated very well. I'm not sure, but what I usually intend to do with all my videos is to show everything that I run into, show you the truth of the work. As much as it would have looked nice in that the day I decided to record the video, if I'd not run into any problems, that would have been a better presentation. But I feel like it's a little more honest doing this way. And it's a good learning opportunity. You know, if you run into problems, what can you do to correct the problems? So I like to give a true representation of the work. Just I didn't know it was going to happen on the very day that I was recording the video. Otherwise, as of the time this video will be coming out, the engine has been running and the car's been driving for a while, so there are no problems to speak of. But later in the series, you'll be able to see that I second-guessed myself a few times while the engine was still being put together, and I even considered replacing that seal. It was just a matter of determining in my head, you know, I had to test an old seal versus a new seal just to see how, you know, would it get damaged if the lip got bent like that. So that will come later in the video. It's just a discussion on old rubber versus new rubber. One of them is harder, more plasticized, not exactly brittle, just harder. And so that I don't want to preempt that. That will come later in the video. I hope, if not entertaining, that the video has been informative enough that it will keep you engaged to keep watching the rest of the videos in the series.